Draft picks or players? Craig has his say on it. Let's take a look at it. So pretty much for the last couple of years, Collingwood have come out with this mantra where it's we're looking at topping up our list. We don't really want to go to the draft, and they keep touting like a Geelong to look at or a Sydney to look at, where they keep bringing players in, developing some of their younger talent, going into the draft late, but using their sort of good picks to bring in good players. And you can see that Collingwood are pretty much doing that model as well. Hawthorn did it really well last season during their trade period, and look where they are now. Look where they got to. Collingwood, Lipinski, Kruger, Tom Mitchell, Bobby Hill, Billy Frampton. Dan Mcrae was a free agent, so he doesn't really count. But you can see what they're trying to do. And something that caught my eye, it really caught my ear on the run home with Andy and Gazy. Craig Mcrae is obviously a guest on there every fortnight or something like that. He said this.
We've got interest in Harry. That's true. And I'm a coach that wants to bring players in. Mm. And now I said that at the end of the season. Now it's hard. It's such a hard market. Fishing from the same pond. But I don't want picks. I say to the list management committee, I don't want picks. I want players. Come on, let's bring players in and make us better. Not just any player. Players that are going to make us better. And
right.
I want to get better every day. And I want to bring players in that make us better. I don't want to stand still. You can model on other versions, and Geelong have done it extremely well. So you look at that as a platform, and you see other clubs like this year, Sydney brought players in and made them better. And that's not excluding our young players either. We got to make sure our players still get opportunities and improve. But no, I'm certainly would like to bring players in every year if we can.
So that's when he was talking about Perryman. He wants established players that are ready to go. He's in the business of getting better. And what better way to get better than bringing in players that are going to fulfill a role, that are not just players where, you're making trades for the sake of making trades. But you're getting these players that are going to fulfill a role and they're ready to go straight away, and they're going to get our team better. So it's interesting to hear Craig say that. There has been a lot of talk about how, Reef might leave or Mcrae might leave because we're not giving these guys game time. But it seems that the philosophy at the moment for the Pies, in my opinion anyway, is, we are playing the kids when we need to play the kids. But if you want to get better every day, if you want to keep winning, if you want to stay up in that upper echelon and not really bottom out, you've got to keep topping up with, these middle-aged players or mid-aged players that other clubs have developed, and you're bringing them in and playing them, and they're going to get well. Especially, someone like Harry Perryman, who, we are probably going to give him, 6, 7, 8 years or something crazy like that. But you need these guys in your team to make you better every day, like Craig Mcrae says. I also think it's interesting that he said something like that when we don't have any first round draft picks at the moment. We know that this draft bats really, really deep. We know that in the top 20 at least, you're going to have the Whitlocks in there. You're going to have a couple more key position players. Is it of their sort of thinking that they don't even want to go? They don't really care about the draft too much. They want to find diamonds in the rough. Think of Bo Mcrae. He was like pick 44 from memory. Dane Swan was in the pick 50s or something. Is the draft that deep that we're okay with keeping a pick in the 30s, a pick in the 40s, and using maybe a pick in the 20s, or that we get for John Noble? Hopefully it's that pick 12. Something like that, to package it up for an Ollie Lord, to package it up for another player from another club that we might have to get in, instead of going to the draft and developing talent that way that might take a long time. It's a hard balance to keep, but you see Geelong, they always do it, and they're always competing. Sure, last year was a down year. They finished 13th after a premiership, but now they were in a prelim, right? They got into a prelim and they nearly won it and made a second grand final appearance in 3 years. So it is a very delicate balance, but you can see which way Collingwood are leaning at the moment. Another thing that we sort of have to think about this year in the trade period is that in 2025, so next year, there'll be a couple of changes coming to the trade period. So next year, you'll be able to trade 2 years into the future. At the moment, you only can trade 1 year into the future. So this year, we can trade our future first round pick for 2025. But in 2025, we'll be able to trade 2026 and 2027's future first round picks. To bundle them up, Tasmania's coming in. What does that sort of look like? So at the moment, when we are trading for these draft picks, especially for future first, seconds, or thirds for 2025, they're going to have different DVIs, which are draft value indexes. Now, I'll shuffle over to the side here because this is the old draft value index and this is the new draft value index. And you can just go back and pause it to kind of see that fully. But I'll give you a quick rundown, and this is from the AFL.com.au website. So currently, pick 20 is worth 912 points. But in the new model, so in 2025, pick 20 is going to be worth 757 points. So that's, almost 200 points difference. Pick 30 in the current model is 629. In the new model, it's 454. So picks are worth less next season. So that's why I think this year, especially with what Craig Mcrae said, do not be surprised if we're bundling up our future first round draft pick next year again for a great player this season. And I don't know who that could be. Imagine it's Mcrae that I sort of hypothesized before. It's not going to happen, obviously. That was just a little bit of fun. But don't be surprised if we do that because we know that we've got young Tommy McGuan coming in next year. It's touted that he might be like a top 10 pick. And what all you have to do with a top 10 pick is you just got to match the values, right? So whatever, if he's pick, look, if he's pick 10, let's say, it's 1,276 points. You've got to make up 1,276 points to match that bid. And that's your future second, future third. But again, you're looking at a drop off. So by pick 54 next year, in 2025, that's only worth 14 points. And that's the last pick that's worth points at the end of round 3. This year, the current model, that goes up to round 4, pick 72 is worth 19 points. So they've taken out a whole round of pick values. So it's going to be a little bit harder. But if we were to bid on Tommy McGuan, that first round draft pick would just get eaten up by him anyway. So it's probably of value that we can trade it this season and then just stock up on seconds and just stock up on thirds. It's very, very interesting. And these poor list management guys, like Derek Hine, and you're looking at his support team, Justin Lepich, they're working off 2024's draft value index and 2025's draft value index. So it's going to be very, very crazy for them. Lots of math. Thank God I'm not there because I hate math. Just talking about those numbers confused me. But all I'm saying is don't be surprised if we trade our future first round draft pick. It's I don't know if we do, but it probably makes a little bit of sense if we do, especially if we can get something like a pick 12 and maybe it's a John Noble and our future first for a pick 12 and a pick 25 or a future second or something from the Gold Coast Suns. Lepich is going to be really inventive. It already looks like he's playing with a hard fist. So I'm very keen to see what happens. But players instead of draft picks, it looks like that's our strategy going forward. It has been our strategy for the last couple of years. And to be fair, we haven't done relatively well in the draft the last few years anyway. Wasted picks, etc., etc. So we're letting other clubs develop the talent and then we're getting them. Is that going to work in the long run all the time? You do have to develop your own players as well. So, you got to put time into Finn. You got to put time into Reef if they're there. Whoever else it is, Lockie Sullivan, all these other younger players. It's a very interesting draft and trade strategy and one that I hope works out because I need that 17th premiership. But anyway, guys, I thought that was just really interesting. This has just been my quick thoughts on it. Let me know your thoughts down below. It's obviously Grand Final Eve. I've got a video coming out tomorrow on Grand Final Day, 1 year on from Grand Final. Last year, bit sad that we're not going to be rating premiers anymore, but it is what it is. Let me know your thoughts down below. But in the meantime, like, comment, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets. And until next time, double shackers. I'll swoop you later.